Happy New Year, everybody. I'm Will Riggs. That's Big Moose, and we have a packed show to kick off 2026.
Tell you what, we are loaded up, and there is no shortage of stuff to talk about this week either. Coming up on the show, talking about a big win for the Ice Flyers this past Saturday night, snapping that 4-game home losing streak, which we never like to see.
We never like to see those, but you know what we did like to see? Even though we had a big loss, we're going to go back to last Saturday to talk about the boxing matches that broke out at the hockey game against Huntsville. And I feel like Huntsville and Pensacola just don't like each other at all.
I said that at the beginning of the season. We played them 11 times in the first half of the season between here and there, and that was going to be one of the big rivalries, especially with both teams sitting atop the SPHL standings. Got a lot to fight for this season.
Heck yeah.
And what a game Saturday night was, coming down to the final minutes as well. Also going to look around the SPHL, have a look at the current standings transactions. And one of the hottest teams in the league has shot up to the top in the last few weeks. We'll talk about that as well.
Heck yeah, we'll give you all the information you're going to need. Home triple header next week. It'll be our first Sunday game of the season. We got a Friday, we got a Saturday, we got a Sunday. It's going to be a good time.
And the short-lived ECHL strike just before Christmas, how that impacted the SPHL and specifically our Pensacola Ice Flyers, all coming up.
All that and more coming up. It's episode 3 of The Flight Deck, the only 100% fan-driven podcast covering your Pensacola Ice Flyers. So sit back, strap on your seatbelts, and get ready because The Flight Deck is cleared for takeoff. Welcome into The Flight Deck, you guys, the only 100% fan-driven podcast covering your Pensacola Ice Flyers. We appreciate you guys joining us, so make sure you hit that like, share, subscribe, and then turn that little bell on so you get notifications every time we post some new content. Speaking of new content, let's jump right into some news and notes.
Yeah, big weekend. The Ice Flyers going on the road this weekend, taking on Quad City, and as Jeremy talked about a couple of weeks ago, you go on the road, and we are public enemy number 1. So definitely going to be interesting to see what the guys are able to do this weekend in Quad City, especially coming off of the suspensions that Quad City is going to be looking at from their warm-up brawl that happened this past weekend. But we will break down that as we're going to be looking at possibly doing kind of one of those live stream, analyzing the game and just hanging out with a bunch of friends on Saturday night, watching the Ice Flyers taking on Quad City.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have a live. It'll be the first live we've done since we started this podcast. I think it'd be really cool to hang out with the peeps and, get their input and basically just chop it up with the fans and have a good time.
Absolutely. And then, of course, we return home to the Hangar the following weekend, a triple header, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, home games. And man, it's a lot of hockey, but it's a lot of fun to be able to hang out with our best hockey friends all 3 nights. It's so much fun.
I'll be working the country night. Okay, I'll be doing the DJing on country night. That's next Friday the 16th, presented by Cat Country 98.7. I'll be running the country music that night. So look for some stuff that's old, some new, and somewhere in between all night long. There'll be fun times for that.
One of our other big favorite ones, Wiener Dog Races return Saturday, January 17th. Believe earlier this season we had the small dog races, and gosh, we had over 100 dogs that were actually in that racing. I know I can't remember the exact number, but we set a new franchise record with the amount of dogs that we had racing across the ice. So this weekend, or that weekend, specifically the Wiener Dog races will be racing across the ice. Always a great time. And then that parlays right into a Sunday afternoon, 4:00 matinee and a youth jersey giveaway night.
Man, that's going to be a kind of a cool game because first of all, I don't know if I'm working that game or not. We'll probably come because it's a Sunday afternoon game. It's actually our first Sunday afternoon home game of the season. So that should be a whole lot of fun. You guys be sure to get your tickets, be it every game, be it one game, be it two, be it all three. It's going to be fun all weekend long. Get them at iceflyers.com and then stick around because up next, we got Hockey 101. We're going to be explaining icing right here on the flight deck.
Welcome back to the flight deck. It is time for Hockey 101, and this week we are breaking down icing. It's not what you put on your birthday cake.
Oh man, I was excited about that. I mean, I was all like, I had my mouth watering talking about icing. I'm like, man, there's buttercream. There's
Man, whipped topping every day.
Whipped is the. Oh my gosh! You know when they started putting it in the jars. My fat butt was like, I'm just gonna buy this whole jar and just eat it straight out of the jar. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you get one of those 32-ounce mason jars and you've got yourself a snack.
Go to it, get some good cookies, and just dip the cookie right in it. I mean, I didn't get
for the second period.
I didn't get chunky on accident. I promise you. I promise you I did not. I like food and sweets, but icing on the ice is something totally different, unfortunately.
It is. It is when the player shoots a puck from behind the red line all the way past the opposing team's goal line without anybody touching it. It's actually quite a simple process, but still can be confusing when that happens. Plays stop, the face-off comes all the way back down to the defensive zone of the team that iced the puck, and the rule exists to prevent teams from just firing the puck down the ice over and over to avoid pressure in their own end.
Yeah, if you were at the game on Saturday night, even 3-1, like the last 4 minutes, I bet we had 10 icing calls in the last 4 minutes of the game because Roanoke couldn't stop the Ice Flyers. The Ice Flyers were just continuing pressure, even though it was 3-1. It would take a lot for them to come back. They were just keeping the pressure on, and Roanoke would just wing it down there, icing, or we get back in there again, icing. It was on and on. But if you see, like, what I like to do is to keep it from being icing, at least one player on your team has to touch the puck between the red line and the blue line. Right. Mm-hmm. So if you're watching the game, if you ever notice how you'll see the guy pass it to a guy standing right in front of the blue line and he kind of jumps a little bit and then runs to basically they're using it to put it back in for a line change, which is cool. Unless you're like a team like Roanoke who will just hold the puck behind the goal and make like 3 different line changes. And boy,
and that's what riles the fans up. I was going to say, the fans always get onto the opposing players for doing this, but I feel like the Hangar has taken it up a notch this season and really letting them know it's like, no, we're not stopping play. The clock's still running. Play the puck.
No, it was, yeah. And the other night it happened. Like they held it back. I think they made 3 line changes before they actually got the line they wanted on the ice. And I was like, geez. And it was loud in the Hangar the other night. And it was a good game. I was glad that we were able to, get that win the other night, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit when we get through the highlights. But, icing is something very important, and it's super easy to call out or see when you're watching a game, because you'll see the referee will stand at the blue line and he'll throw his hand in the air. And once he throws his hand in the air, he's going to blow the whistle, and that's offsides, and it comes back outside to all the way to the defensive zone. Or no, that's offside. Right. My bad. Not. Man, I am.
Well, and there's so many different caveats about icing as well. If you're on a penalty kill, you can still clear the puck. You're down there, you're fighting it away from your own goal, sling it down there, and if you're on that penalty kill, you don't have to worry about icing. Also, an opposing player could have played the puck but chose not to. The linesman may wave off the icing and continue play. So that's one of those things you'll see sometimes where you'll see the goalie kind of doing this, right, and play resumes even with the puck back behind the net.
Yeah, it's always it's all intricacies. It's very small caveats to like almost every rule in hockey. But
in hockey, no.
It's kind of like, you ever seen I don't know if you watched Ted Lasso. It's kind of like, he's trying to explain offsides, and the guy goes, it's hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. That's all,
right.
It's hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. So
unless you're playing FC on the PlayStation 5, then
yeah, there's no offsides on that game.
I'm telling you, soccer offsides is so. If you think offsides in hockey is weird, offsides in soccer is even worse.
Offsides in soccer, your last player can't be beyond their last player when the ball is passed. Now, after the ball is passed, they can get behind them. They just can't be behind them before the ball's passed. It's really weird. Like I said, it's hard to explain, but when you see it.
You
So
want to learn about offsides? Go play some video games.
yeah,
You'll
yeah.
learn.
Or actually, you just go watch Ted Lasso. By the way, you will not be disappointed if you've never watched Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso is absolutely tremendous. I've watched all 3 seasons probably 5 times. That's one of my go-to shows now. And I just finished all 12 seasons of The Big Bang Theory. By the way, if you've never watched The Big Bang Theory, what a phenomenal show.
Dude,
Like,
that show is so old. I don't even think it was in high def.
dude, I will tell you this. I didn't even start watching The Big Bang Theory until last year, which is when Young Sheldon, which started the next to last show, was over. I mean, I'd watched, episode here, episode there, but I never kept up with the different, like the storylines or whatever, right? I would just put it on because it was something like kind of like the 70s show, right? I would put it on because it was funny and there was nothing else. So I decided, you know what? I can't do just a whole lot because I'm still recovering from a stroke. So let me watch Young Sheldon, which, by the way, is a phenomenal show. It's a phenomenal show. So I watched all of that, and I was like, clearly now I have to watch all 12 seasons of The Big Bang Theory. So I watched 19 seasons of television in about 4 weeks.
So Riggs, there's this other great show. If you haven't seen it yet, How I Met Your Mother. I'm telling you, man, you'll change your life.
Barney. Man, he's wild, man. Barney's a wild dude. And
we're talking about shows that are 20 years old.
You know what's crazy is like these young people, like they'll be like, "Oh man, Neil Patrick Harris is awesome." I said, "Yeah, he's been on TV for 35 years." Like, that was Doogie Howser. What are you talking about, bro?
He's actually got a new show on Netflix right now. It's What's in the Box. He's actually a game show host.
What's in the box? Oh, what's in the box? What's in the box? By the way, that's from a movie that's also really, really old. If you don't get that reference, it's called Seven. It's got Brad Pitt, Kevin Spacey, Ashley Judd, Morgan Freeman. Dude, I mean, that's a packed show. That's a packed show too. But I could talk TV. I could talk TV series all day. But we don't have all day to talk TV series. But if you watch any of those, or you have some more suggestions of old shows I may not have seen yet, drop them in the comments, and I'll give them a look and let you know, guys, know what's happening next week. I'll see what I've dipped into. But
bring the VHS next weekend.
I'll bring my VHS into the house. It's been in the garage for a decade or whatever. But we'll set it up and we'll do it. But now that you guys know all about icing and my TV viewing habits, coming up next, we're gonna go around the league right here on the flight deck. All right, y'all, it's time now to go around the league where we catch you up on everything happening across the SPHL beyond Pensacola.
Hate to say it, but one of the hottest teams in the league has got to be the Peoria Rivermen, affectionately known as Peoria, who have not lost in regulation since November.
Yeah, they're 9-0-1 their last 10. I mean, they sit atop the SPHL standings. They're 1 point ahead of Huntsville, 2 points ahead of the Flyers. And, it's very tight. 2 points separate the top 3 teams.
And you got to keep in mind, they've also played 2 more games in Pensacola, who has the highest win percentage in the league right now. But as we mentioned in episode 1, it's all about stockpiling those points early in the season, so it's less pressure later in the season when you've got to get those wins and while you're trying to seed everything out for the playoffs.
Yeah, and it all evens out in the end because by the end of the year, we'll all play the same number of games. So, we could be a tie, we could be ahead, by 1 point, we could, whatever. It's all about how we, take those last games. And trust me, we'll have a chance to separate ourselves from Peoria when we get to take them on. We haven't seen them yet this season. We've seen Huntsville quite a lot. And so, we'll see how much we do with that. But this is the time of year, though, that injuries start to pile up, not only in the SPHL, but in the ECHL, which is where we start to see players, not only from our team, but from around the league get loaned out to the ECHL. And that does it shapes how our team looks from a week to week basis.
Oh, and it really does. And, that's one of the things about being one of the lower tier leagues, if you will. It's a farm system. It's a development league. You want to pull for your guys to move up to the ECHL, and maybe one day they get to the AHL and possibly that call it to the NHL. We hate to see how it kind of changes the dynamic of the team that we see on the ice week in and week out. But at the same time, like I said, you want to pull for those players that you have a special connection with as they get called up to the higher leagues.
Oh, my daughter was super happy when Tyler Burney came back. Oh yeah,
I believe it.
When Bernie got back, she was super excited. And special shout out to Sam Mumond. My daughter actually bumped into him down at Seville over the weekend, and told him she loved the game and loved the team. And he was like, "Hey man, thanks for the support and everything." So they had a little nice conversation there. So I'm sure she dipped out my name and DJ situation to him and stuff. So that's fine too. But man, it was we'll talk about him in a little bit here too, because he got into a little fisticuffs action on Saturday night. But man, the ECHL, just before Christmas, it was this big, oh my God, we're gonna have a strike and we're not gonna do this and this, and it was kind of short lived. It kind of fizzled out really quick.
It was, and that's one of the things you're going to see this in all aspects of sport from the top tier. I mean, look at how many times baseball has gone on strike and lockouts with different leagues. It happens. But the ECHL finalized their agreement with the Professional Hockey Players Association, ratifying that new collective bargaining agreement that ends that work stoppage. Although there were still a number of players that were on the move over the last couple of weeks, getting called up, not just for the Ice Flyers, but across the league, getting those call-ups to the ECHL.
They said we're not going to use scab players. I always hate that term, scab players. So I'm like, these guys are going to eventually play there anyway. So, yeah. But I mean, I get what they're trying to say is like, hey, we're not going to. I mean, they canceled a whole day of games, which a whole day of revenue in a league is a lot.
It is.
And, and on the docket was they wanted to get the CBA is good. Now it runs through the 28-29 season. So that's 3 more years. And then hopefully we're not sitting back here again. They get it all squared away and keep things moving because, work stoppages on all fronts, regardless if it be, so we cancel games. People think, oh, well, the owners are going to miss out on this money. The player, yeah, but you also have to take into account all the workers, the workers that work around the league, inside the building, inside that's also a loss for their pocketbook as well. And
well, it's not just.
I can probably hear my stupid dog barking out there.
I was going to say it's not just ownership. It's not just the employees, if you will. But look at all the different groups that partake in game night activities as well. At least for the Ice Flyers, it's volunteer and charity groups that run Chuck-a-Puck. You have different groups that benefit from the 50-50 raffles. You have different groups that also get a cut of the sales from the merchandise stands. And it's one of the things that the Ice Flyers and the Ice Flyers Foundation does to support other organizations in the community. So you have a stoppage like that across the ECHL, even just one game can impact that one group that might only have two games across the season working the merchandise stand as their big fundraiser, and that hurts their fundraising efforts as well. So big impacts, but at the end of the day, it was about player health, safety, compensation were big things on the table, and very glad to see that everyone came to an agreement that works out for everybody, whether it comes to the teams, the players, staff. Everybody is getting covered up in the ECHL.
Yeah, and I'm all for it. I want, because that also affects the guys on our teams too, because they do get called up, and what if they get called up and this happens up there, and this or that happens up there? Well, at least they're covered. They're covered, and that gets taken care of for them, which is great. But let's check those standings. Today is January 6th. You're not going to watch it till tomorrow, which when it comes out on January 7th. But there are no games between now and then, so we could check out some accurate standings in the SPHL.
And high atop those standings right now, the Rivermen, talked about them earlier, sitting at the top of the league, total of 39 points. They are just 1 point, one overtime period away from Huntsville, who sits in second place in the SPHL standings right now.
Well, in our Flyers, they're only 2 up on the Flyers, but like we said earlier, they've only played 2. They played 2 fewer games than everybody else. So we're, that 4-gap point between us is not that big of a deal, considering we still have 2 more games than them to play for the rest of the season. But we also have a 4-game gap between us and the Rail Yard Dogs, who we beat on Saturday night, which you got to keep everybody at arm's length, and a lot of these teams, like especially like the Rivermen and the Rail Yard Dogs, have the first probably 10 games, they didn't look that great. They were still trying to get their feet under them. But since they've been playing some really good hockey, and those top 4 teams are really, really good right now. And even the top 5 are really good. And we'll see how.
I was just say,
there's 2 of them we haven't played yet.
Right, Evansville is holding that 5th position. The Thunderbolts with 29 points, and the last team with a winning record. Everyone else still trying to find their footing, like you said, as we reach that midpoint of the season. So it's kind of cool to see what teams are really competing up top, and which teams have really fallen off. I'm kind of surprised at Birmingham's record as well. They've been sitting at the bottom of the league. They've been struggling to pick up wins along the season as well. So that's one of those ones. It's like, man, I always expect Birmingham to be one of those mid floaters, but to see them sitting in bottom of the league is not kind of a regular thing for them.
We started off the season with them too. I mean, there's some tough games, hotly contested games, and I was like, man, they're really good. But you look at the standings, and I'm like, they just can't. I think the only win they've had in the last 3 weeks was against us on Christmas night in the Hangar, which was a wild game, by the way. If you didn't go to that was wild too. Came down to a what I would call a sketchy tripping penalty late in that game. They put them on the power play to get, it was really weird because I was sitting right there at the game. I wasn't working out. I was sitting there with my family, and I'm like, that guy just fell off his own 2 feet. There was no
Gremlins.
Yeah, the Gremlins tripped him up, and just because there happened to be an Ice Flyer standing there when he did it, doesn't. I mean, because I want to say it was Bross in the corner, and he was digging out the puck. He was digging out the puck, and the other guy just tripped flying into him, and then they were calling a penalty, and I thought that was sketchy. It was a bad call, and man, I tell you what.
Well, and that right there shows you, and not that I'm taken up for an official by any means, but it's all about the angles. From my vantage point, right between the penalty boxes, you have Bross right behind that player, sticks out, stick got tangled up in the sticks, that's tripping, there's your penalty. But when you watch the replay and all of a sudden you move that camera angle around 45 degrees, you can actually see a much clearer shot that, they're playing the puck, they're getting in there, but there's actually a gap between Bross and that player that went down.
Yeah.
That's as simple as hitting a gash in the ice or losing an edge or whatever it was that happened that caused the official to throw that hand up and call the tripping penalty.
Man, I'll tell you what, the fans let them have it too. That's the loudest. I want to say this is probably the loudest the Hangar has been for a solid 2 minutes. They were just screaming, refs, you suck, or something like that. It was loud, dude. It was echoing throughout there, and it went on. I mean, I'm talking after the penalty, while they were on the power play, even after they scored, it came out again. Dude, they were just letting them have it. They were giving them the business the whole time. It was a good time. It was funny.
I'll tell you what. Instead of talking about it, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back with some of those highlights and actually break down what's happened in the Hangar the last couple of weeks right here on the Flight Deck. It's coming up next.
All right, let's get into the highlights and take a look back at the Ice Flyers week on the ice last week.
The Pensacola Ice Flyers had 3 games last week, 1 on the road against Macon, 2 at home against Roanoke. Let's talk about that New Year's Eve game. First period, Connor May of the Mayhem opens up the scoring for the home side. He carried the puck in the offensive zone, roofed a wrist shot over the goalie's glove, giving Macon that 1-0 lead heading into the first intermission.
Yeah, and if you go look at that, when I tell you just over the glove, I bet it was less than an inch over the glove. It just zoomed right over the top of it. And man, they really locked down after that, because in the second period, it was a battle of the goaltenders as the Mayhem's Josh Boyko and Ice Flyers Dominic Bass shut out I mean, it could be Basse, I don't know. It's Bass. But he shut the door in the second period. That was the only goal he would give up, too, because it went to the third with the Ice Flyers trailing 1-0. But that's a theme we've seen a lot of lately, is trailing going to the third.
It really has, and that's been a big part of the keys to the game each night as well. Pensacola did capitalize on a power play opportunity shortly after that late second period penalty call, though. Cooper Jones scored the game tying goal 1-1 with a well-placed shot just as his team began a 5-on-3 power play. That goal shifted the momentum decisively towards Pensacola to finish out that game strong.
Oh, yeah. After that, it was like all Pensacola all the time in the zone in the entire time. And give it to Boyko, man. I mean, it was like a firing squad, and he was knocking shots down. But with about 7 minutes left in the third period, Tyrone Bronte tipped a shot past Boyko to put Pensacola up 2-1, giving the Flyers their first lead of the game with just about 12 minutes left in the game.
Oh yeah, and at that point, you're
for about 7 minutes. My bad.
if you're down, you're going to do everything you can. And that's exactly what Macon did. They pulled their goalie late for that extra attack or push, unable to convert on the opportunities. So Pensacola holds on for the 2-1 victory, heading into 2026 with a big road win.
And that was a win they really needed, because Christmas week was rough. It was rough. Yeah. We lost all our games at home, but won all our games on the road. And the games at home were. The only one that wasn't close was that Saturday night game, that the previous Saturday night game where it was 5-1. Was in Huntsville 5-1 in our house, and then Christmas Eve was the last second heartbreaker, and then again on the 27th for Military Appreciation. I mean, it was just a wild week of games that week. So we really needed that heading into 2026. And then, they got the day off on New Year's Day, probably not from practice, but they didn't have to play a game on New Year's Day. And then we hosted the Rail Yard Dogs on Friday night. And this was a game where effort was there, energy was there, the shots were there. It was just that Roanoke capitalized on their chances, and that ended up being the difference.
And sometimes that's all it takes. Let's get right into it in the first period. Roanoke controlling early momentum, outshooting Pensacola 10-5 in the opening frame. Paid off late, though, 16:02 of the first period. Noah Finstrom opens up the scoring for Roanoke, finishing a setup from Joe Widmar, former Ice Flyer, and Jordan Rosenbaum. That goal sends Dogs into the first intermission with the 1-0 lead.
It was tough to give up one that late in the first period, because Pensacola was like literally, I mean, they were on them. I want to say that was only one of two times that late in the game that they were actually being able to set up in the offensive zone against the Ice Flyers. I mean, they really did not have a lot of chances, but they capitalized on that one. And we went to the second period down 1-0. Again, something we've seen a lot of, not only lately, but this whole season. It seems like it's 1-0 at the end of the first period in a lot of games, and not in our favor.
No, and that's one of the things that it always drives us crazy, and there's only so much we can do as fans and spectators, because these guys are giving everything they got on the ice. But I think it's just one of those where, and I know Jeremy knows it as well, because it's one of the things he preaches is you've got to get off to a fast start. You've got to bring the game to them and not wait for the game to come to us. And I think that's kind of one of the slow startup problems we've had, especially in the first period of play and in a lot of the games we've had this season. Tough one late in the first period, though. Pensacola settling in. Roanoke got traffic inside positioning, made it count with that second period. Really swinging at 3:44. Andrew Poulias comes up with a huge momentum-changing shorthanded breakaway goal. It was pushes it right in, ties it all up 1-1. And I tell you, Poulias is one of those guys. He just comes out of nowhere and makes stuff happen when things need to happen.
It reminded me of the play. I remember the very first Mighty Ducks with Emilio Estevez, and the play where he got his knee injured, where he literally saw the pass coming, took off, went right to it, picked it up right between the two players, and just went down and scored. I mean, he was going the opposite direction. There was no way they were catching him. I mean, they had to turn around and everything else. But once he got that pass in between, he just went in there, lifted it over the left shoulder, and went top shelf on the goaltender, and tied the game, which was great. But just about 10 minutes later, Roanoke struck back with Travis Broman. He put the Dogs back on top, assisted by Finstrom and Widmar. It seemed like that trio, was on the ice for a good part of the time, and they literally were, that was their one line that was be able to put points up.
It really was. 8, 24, and 28 was a stat line I had to say a lot this weekend for Roanoke, and it was just those three guys that were making plays and able to get into the Ice Flyers defensive zone and scoring, which hurt. The 2 goals in just over 2 minutes. Suddenly Pensacola is chasing the game, and as you mentioned earlier, it's a trend we've seen a lot of lately.
Yeah, but you got to give the Ice Flyers credit. They did not go quietly. We get into the third, and in 7:40 of the third period, Zach the Boss Bross, I'm gonna call him that every time, the Boss Bross, cuts the deficit to 1. Mike Moran and Zach Jones pick up assists on the play. It's 3-2. Plenty of time left. We've seen this so many times where the Ice Flyers have been like, okay, cool, and just like started just lighting up the lamp repeatedly, in short fashion, and it just didn't happen on Friday night.
It's all about puck possession, sustained pressure, shot volume. If you're seeing those, chances are you're going to be a competitive team, and the Ice Flyers continue to find those 3 things, and you see a final score of 3-2 on the scoreboard instead of something like we saw last season, which we just don't talk about anymore.
Yeah, well, it never happened. And the crazy part is the numbers in that game back it up. We had 15 shots on goal, 15 in the third period. They had 1. Their 1 was the empty netter that sealed the deal. But that's insane. If you were at that game, Roanoke literally had no opportunities in the offensive zone. The Ice Flyers, I mean, that's a game where you see like, okay, look, the stats show it. We outshot them 35-22. I'm telling you, the last period, it was like shot after shot after shot, and they just kept turning them away. And their 1 shot on goal was just that long empty netter. We were waiting for it to slide to the side, hoping it would find the back wall, but that one didn't. I was actually kind of impressed, not gonna lie, because he was behind, like literally behind his goal, and skated off to the side and just winged it down there, and it was dead center for the empty netter that sealed the deal. I mean, it was at 19:45 in the third period. So, I mean, with 15 seconds left.
It wasn't even their first attempt at one of the empty nets. I mean, they had missed 2 or 3 before that.
Right.
And it's one of those that close to the end of the game, you're sitting there, you see them shoot the puck, and you're kind of doing those calculations in your head, trigonometry equations or what your brain. It's like, all right, well, it's scrolling through and it's on a line, but it could maybe.
And then, no. And then everybody does their Homer Simpson. Don't. And that was it. I mean, it was a 3-2 game, ended up as a 4-2 game. But the best part was the very next night. We talk about the fast starts, and Jeremy talks about the fast starts, and we talk about the fast starts, and they carried that third period over right into the first period of Saturday night's game, and it showed from the opening puck drop.
Well, and I think the players needed that. I think the coaching staff needed that. I think the fans needed that on Saturday night as the Ice Flyers came right back out, taking it to the Rail Yard Dogs in a 3-1 win on Sunday evening. Let's get right into those replays right now.
Man, I tell you what, the first one, the good thing is, like, we talk about start fast. Pensacola struck twice before the first intermission, and the first one at 13:31, Zach Jones opens the scoring. It's a gritty inside finish to make it 1-0. That is almost like it was a pass, then a tip pass right back to him. I don't think that that the pass was on anybody else's stick for more than about a second before it hit his, and he just pounded it home, and there was nobody there. I mean, he just right into the empty net, and the goaltender turned his head just a minute to his right, and by the time he turned around, the puck was already behind him for a big 1-0 lead. And just a couple of minutes later, Tyrone Bronte capitalized on another scoring chance. The Flyers were up 2-0. Crowd was going crazy as we hit the first intermission. It was wild, man.
Well, and to your point right there, I think that's one of the things I really do enjoy seeing out of the Ice Flyers this year is you have a lot more guys that are posting up right at the top of the crease. So when that puck does come back across, you've got somebody that's in there able to knock it right in, which is something we haven't really seen in a while from the Ice Flyers. But no, they're hitting on all cylinders there, and it also shows you the degree of difficulty that the goalies have in hockey in general. You start moving to the right, it's hard to come back and go back over to the left when things are happening that quickly. It's ice, it's slippery, you got momentum, and props to the guys for getting that 2-0 lead going into the first intermission. Jones Bronte dialed in, didn't give Roanoke a chance to settle in, and this is where the Ice Flyers really got into their game, pressure in Roanoke all night long. And I tell you what, that pressure started flowing over into the second and third period, where we went to a hockey game and a fight broke out.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, and the thing is, like, you could tell even when they were trying to hold the puck behind them, behind their own goal, and set up the changes. Like, we were even pressing their changes and the guy behind there. I mean, it was not. And I always thought it's a full court press, man. From basketball, it's a full court press. You force them to make decisions quickly, and then quick decisions typically end in mistakes. And I also noticed something else about hockey is that when we're in the zone trying to set up, they're running the triangle offense, man. From the old Chicago Bulls triangle offense is exactly what they're doing. You'll see them rotate, or what they call total football and Ted Lasso, but they're just trying to rotate and clean up the space that the other person left behind. And get shots, and it's actually kind of impressive to watch when you watch them, because they can skate in any different direction. But like you said, the goaltenders, like, if you'll notice, you'll see them push off the bottom of the poles with their back skates, with their skate on whatever side they're on, because it gives them kind of a oomph. And like, when you remember you're in the swimming pool when you're a kid, and you're like, I'm going to race you, and you stand on the wall, and then you just get that huge leg push so you can jump way out there. It's really with that kind of, it's kind of momentum to help them get back across a little quicker, but he was unable to do that. But it all overflowed there late in the second period. There's some good fighting going on. It was, I want to say it was Sam. It's Mumond, right?
Samson Milland, yeah.
Yeah, Milland. And so Samson played Samson, and him and Flournoy got into it. That was a weird fight, though. We were just talking about that off air. It was a weird fight because, like, they dropped their gloves, and then they throw a few punches, and then it turned into, like, just they're dragging each other in circles. And I want to say it was Flournoy who was doing that, because, like, he was trying to drag him down, because before that, Samson got a couple of good, right licks on him. And he was like, that's enough of that. I don't want to get hit again. That sucks.
Well, and that's the thing. Immediately after that fight, if you look at Milan's jersey, I mean, you could see it was stretched all the way down. Like, half of his pads are hanging out. And so it was a big, holding and shoving match, and a couple of good shots on either side. But it was just one of those. You can tell that while the emotions were overflowing, they were putting it all out there during the game, because there wasn't much left to fight. That was all adrenaline and just getting ticked off at the other one.
Yeah, and that wasn't even that. That was like almost just like a couple minutes after we scored to make it 3-0 late second period, which is when we get a 3 on you, there's not. I mean, we've seen it once this year where the other teams come back. Usually it's suffocation afve that. And
you got to remember that 3-goal lead was at the beginning of the third period. This one, we're well into the third period holding that lead. And you've got to get through the fights, and you've got to sustain and get to that final buzzer, and you'll be A-okay.
And it's crazy because, like, they finally got on the board, but it was late. I mean, there's 5 minutes left in the game when they finally get on the board to make it 3-1, which was end up being the final. But they just did not have a lot of opportunity in the offensive zone because of the press defense, because of just the way that the Pensacola played. And I felt like it clicked in the second half of Friday night. And it just carried over, and they played the entire game that way, where they were just, full court press. And, I go back, and I think I told you this before, is if you go back to the huge break we had, right? The 8 days or 9 days or whatever, it reminds, like, when you're watching football in the NFL, it's like, oh man, my team got the bye. Odds are not with you, because you take a whole week off of playing while other teams continue to play. Right. And they stay in sync, and then you're not in sync.
They've got their practice sessions. They've got games they're still playing. Meanwhile, the guys are going home, seeing family, getting that pre-Christmas break. And they're off the ice for an entire week, and they got to come back. And it may seem like only a week, but what a week can do to the conditioning and just the overall, in syncness and just having that greased wheel like we saw the first half of the season.
Well, and it's kind of like the same thing we saw in college football in the college football playoffs. Only one team that had a bye won. All the other ones lost.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, everybody's like, wow. Now we have Miami, who just laid a absolute thumping on Alabama, dude. I mean, I was like, God dang. I mean, it didn't hurt.
Indiana.
No. Oh, Indiana beat the snot out of Alabama.
Yeah.
And who did Miami beat?
Miami. Was that the Ohio State game?
Oh yeah, it was Ohio State, and you saw Georgia lose to Ole Miss. I'm like, what is going on right now?
All these teams that are expected to make that run in the college football playoff, it just shows you. I mean, any given night, these are professional athletes at the end of the day. I mean,
even in
Birmingham
college,
coming into Pensacola and handing us a loss right before Christmas. Again, these guys are playing for a whole lot more than what fans may or may not think coming in and just going to a Friday night hockey game.
And that's why we have this show, because we want to, everybody might not come to every show or every game. Yeah. They might not go to, but one game a month, but they love the team. They want to keep up with it. So we appreciate you joining us on this show so we can tell you all about that stuff. And we may be running a little long, but we wanted to give you guys a little extra content this week because last week was just, with the holidays, we probably should have scheduled it better just because the holidays were just out of sync and everything's out of sync on the holidays. I mean, I didn't even know what day it was for about 4 days. And I was like, why is it Tuesday? And my wife's like, it's Sunday. I'm like, what? what the hell happened there? I don't know what I was doing.
My house.
I'm like, what? I don't even know how that worked out. But, we're gearing up this weekend. It's going to be a big road trip for Pensacola. They're heading up north to Moline, Illinois to play on the Quad City Storm. Funny story. In the same building, the Quad City Steamwheelers, the arena football team, plays there. And the former owner of that was the owner I worked for in the Arena Football League in Dallas. And he moved there. Now he's back down San Antonio. But yeah, I used to do some video work for Quad City Steamwheelers
nice.
A few years ago, just because he knew what I did. And he was like, hey, can you do this? And I'm like, yeah, I got you. But we got 2 games on the docket, Friday and Saturday night. We'll give you the update of Friday on Saturday when we go live. Dude, I'm telling you, we've said this a couple times in the show, but I'm really excited to be able, because we get hit up at this games. Like I promise, I would never make anything like this up, but Moose and I get stopped at the games before, during, and after at the games, asking when's the next podcast, what's going to happen. I mean, we get it all the time. We got it the other night after the game, like 20 minutes after the game. Somebody's like stops and goes, hey man, when's the next podcast? We're like, we record Tuesday to be out Wednesday, but we get that all the time. And not even just from Ice Flyers fans, SPHL officials, they hit us up about it all the time. The refs, the players, they're all look. It's really cool that everybody's like loving the show, and so the live is going to be really cool this Saturday. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, being able to break it down and like I said earlier in the show, just sitting back with a bunch of fans because it's something we don't normally get to do,
right?
And just watch a good old fashioned Ice Flyers hockey game and do a little chirping with our friends.
Oh, yeah, I love talking smack. But we're going to step aside for just a second. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Quad City Storm, where they're at, where we're at, and how this games are going to rack up coming up this weekend. That's coming up next on our game preview. So stick around right here to the flight deck. All right, everybody, welcome back into our game preview segment. And Moose, we got a couple of good road games in Illinois this week. Moline, Illinois, that is.
Moline, it sounds like some backwoods. Anyway, it's Quad City.
Really. It's actually not far from Chicago.
Yeah. Coming off some high tempo games for sure, ready to do battle. Produced 78 goals so far this season, and the power play is just, my goodness, top of the league when, especially on the road. That is definitely how you put together that winning team. And again, to reiterate what Coach Jeremy Gates said earlier on in the season, we're one of the most disliked teams in the league right now, and the other teams and other fans like us even less because, well, we're winning a lot of games at home and on the road.
Yeah, and we're also at the near the top, if not the top, penalty kill in the league as well. So, we've been scoring a lot of goals. It seems like every night I don't think have we been shut out this season? I don't think we have.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think
there may have been one, but
I mean, we had one goal. It hadn't been in any game I've called. I can tell you that right now. We've scored at least once in every game. We might not have won it, but we've scored at least once in every game. So not being shut out is always cool. I mean, losing, and when you lose like 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, like that sucks. Like it can be demoralizing. But our team is always finding a way to generate goals, put goals in the back of the net, or put pucks in the back of the net, and that's one of the things that people hate is that we can score 1 per period. We can score 4 per period. And we've seen that We've seen 3 goals in a period way more than we've seen 0 goals in a period, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. Like we're always scoring goals and, going up to Illinois to take on the Storm. The Storm, they just haven't gotten their feet quite under them. They're sitting at 500 in the league. They're sitting in the middle of the pack and all the special teams categories and goals allowed and goals. I mean, it's almost a 50-50 split across the board for those guys. But again, this is professional hockey, man. Everybody can beat everybody on every night. It could be a coin flip every night.
And I've got to imagine that for Quad City, it's also a little bit more difficult for them because they are one of those teams this season where there has been a few more than you would like to see as far as transactions. So instead of getting that baseline of players and getting a gel and play like they should be, you got a guy that's getting called up, you got a guy that's getting traded out, and another guy coming in, and that will disrupt the flow of progress for any given team as well. But that can also be dangerous because all it takes is 1 or 2 standouts who are able to figure out where the cracks are and start that scoring charge. But the same can be said for our guys, because like you mentioned, 2, 3, 4 goals in a 5-10 minute window. Once you find that compromisation, if you will, you're going to keep digging at it and try and build as much of a fortress as you can, if you will, as far as the scoring buffer.
Oh, absolutely. But the Storm have actually, regardless of the record, they've been able to put points in the game. They're averaging like 3.5 goals a game for about the last, I think, 3 weeks or so. So they've been able to put points, goals in the back of the net, but they haven't been able to put points on the board as far as the score, as far as the standings board, because they've either lost in overtime or just lost outright. And they've been struggling. They'll win 1 here, lose 2 there, win 2, then lose 1. I mean, they've been sitting there. They've never gotten on a roll. I don't think they've ever won more than 2 in a row all season. And those winning streaks they make a huge difference at the end of the season as far as points go. And that's, we've seen that. I mean, we were the last team to lose at home this season, but then we turned around and lost 4 or 5 at home, and nobody likes that. But we got back off the schneid. But on the road, man, we've been pretty darn good. I mean, we're only lost 5 games all season, and only one of them was on the road. You know what I mean? Like. So actually, no, we're undefeated on the road. I want to say we're undefeated because we only have 5 losses. We've lost 4 games in regular time at home and 1 in overtime at home.
Is that right?
Seems right to me because I'm like I was there for those games. So I felt like because we lost the 1 game. We were 9-0 at home. We lost the overtime loss, make it 9-0-1, and then we lost 4 games in a row at home. Or maybe we only lost 1 game at home. Maybe I'm counting that one. I don't know. My brain works weird sometimes. But either way, we've either lost none or only 1 on the road this season, which is pretty darn good in the SPHL.
It is, and that's just it right here. We've won 16. We've lost 6, and we have 3 overtime losses. That's what it is. We've lost a total of 9 games this season.
Right.
And
when I say loss, I always talk about just regular losses, overtime losses. Which, by the way, for you guys that didn't know that, if you lost in overtime, but it used to be just a loss, you didn't get any points for that. That's probably changed in the last 10 years or so. Because something
like that.
In the NHL, if you lost, whether it was overtime or whatever, it's a loss. You didn't get any points for that. You only got points for ties. And then they got rid of ties, so that's where they moved that point to the overtime losses. You're welcome.
Riggs getting us educated.
Just so you know, I used to be that kid who before, and I grew up in Dallas, right, which is a weird place to like hockey because we didn't have a hockey team when I was growing up. We didn't get the Stars until '94. So
Right.
I would be up on ESPN Sunday night hockey night. That's what they had before they had baseball on Sunday nights was hockey. And the only three teams I ever got to watch were I either got to watch Northeast teams like Boston. It was either the Boston Bruins, the New York Rangers, or the Islanders, or it was West Coast teams like the San Jose Sharks, the Mighty Ducks, and man, who else is out there?
Kings.
Yeah, no, the Kings are. Oh, the LA Kings. Yeah, I was going to say Kings of Sacramento. Do they play basketball? What are you talking about?
No.
But I loved it when they had the Mighty Ducks, man, because those shows are great, by the way. If you've never watched those or your kids have never watched the Mighty Ducks shows, they're great. I love them.
Oh, yeah.
I love them.
It's like one of those marquee, family, wholesome.
Oh, 1,000. 1,000. And you got the one kid. I always compare. I forget the kid's name in the movie. He's the one that he has the massive slap shot, but everybody ducks every time he goes to shoot.
Yes.
I'm like, sometimes we have guys like that on our team. They're just out there just wailing on the puck, slap shot one timers, and it's like over. Like it's not even near the net. It's like, what? How'd that happen? Like, what are you doing over there, man? You just practice to see if you can break the glass before the game, or
might as well.
But it's on the road. It's a lot easier to be more comfortable on the road, right? Because there's not the pressure of we have the highest attendance in the league at home. The highest attendance, it's not even close, right? So when you got an average of 5,000 people in the hangar every night, and that literally live and die on every play. And I love that about our fans. They are with it. They support the team regardless of the outcome, but they live and die with every single play, every fight, every shot, everything. And so that can create a lot of pressure when you're on the ice, because you're like, man, if I don't perform, they're going to boo me, or they're going to see me in public, tell me I suck. There's a lot of pressure to playing at home when you have the attendance we have. So being on the road, it kind of lets them cool out and relax a little bit, especially if they're not taking a plane to Illinois. I mean, it's a long bus drive.
It is a long bus drive. And actually, so we're currently second in the standings as far as attendance. Huntsville was able to jump ahead of us by about 2,000 fans so far this season. But it's always
more games at home than us. They play 2 more games at home than us. I don't want to hear all that. I don't want to hear all that.
So let's go ahead and break
attendance. Look at average attendance. They're not close. I mean, we're averaging 5,000 people a game, which is crazy, man. It's nuts when there's 5,000 people. Look, I was there when there was 3,500 people, and I was watching the game from the crowd, and it's loud. Like you can't even hear yourself think down there because everybody's on every single thing. But we head off up to, and it looks good on paper, right? Like if you're a fan and you're looking at, Quad City's 500. They haven't been able to pick up, more than 2 wins in a row all season. The Ice Flyers are coming off a big win. They're great on the road. It's easy to, in your heart, of your fan heart and your fan head, to go, man, we should kick the crap out of Quad City. But it's not often that way. I mean, we may win, but it's not going to be like, hey, look, we went up there and scored 8 goals. But then again, it could be, because we do that to Huntsville a couple of times, where we went to their house and beat them by 4 or 5 in their own house, which is fun.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing. You look at this Quad City team, and they might be 500, but 13-13 is their regulation record. They've only lost 2 in overtime, and their last 10, they're 6-3-1. So, it doesn't matter what they're doing. Here recently, they're doing what they need to do to get the numbers in the win columns, and that right there is good for a combined total of 13 points in their last 10 games.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier. They've been able to really put points on the board in the last few weeks, and that's kind of contributed to that. If you look at the top 5, and I believe they're the 6th team in standings wise. If you look at those, if you look at the last 10 for those teams, I mean, freaking, you got Peoria up there just railing off. I mean, they haven't lost a game since November, and I couldn't even go back to that schedule to see how far into November it's been. But they didn't lose all of December.
9-0-1 is their overall last 10 games. Yeah. Right. So Peoria just can't lose right now.
And I look.
Meanwhile, Evansville. Well, and you look at another team like Evansville. They've won 2 games in their last 10.
Right.
So all of a sudden,
they've won one in their last 10, and that was at our house. It was
Mhm.
on Christmas. Thanks for that,
Yeah.
guy. So it's anybody can win anywhere. Now, does it favor us in this particular matchup, the way we play versus the way we play? I think it does. I think that our
Sure.
goaltending, I think Flaudel has been way more impressive than I thought he would be when he first got. I mean, he won his first start. I
Yep.
mean, of course, everybody's like, well, he struggled here, struggled there. And I'm like, well, when you're making your first few starts ever, it's hard to,
Yeah.
You got to get your feet under you. But he's played very, very well the last week or so since Rico got called up or got loaned out to the ECHL.
Well, and I was going to say that was another thing you got to look at is Rico has been our guy virtually all season.
Yep.
So all of a sudden your number one goalie is gone, and now you're going to your second, third, fourth line goalie, if you will. I mean, that's been a lot of movements. We've seen Ty get called up. We saw Rico get called up. There was the other goalie that we had that got called up as well. So I mean, that's three goalies that have been called out in the first half of the season. So that's kind of where our revolving door has been. And even with different goaltenders in the crease, they're still doing the job they got to get done and not letting the puck back as much as they should, despite what the record shows in the last 10 games.
Well, and a lot of that has to do with we're just playing tremendous defense in the defensive zone. Like, we're not like the other night. If you were at the game the other night, you saw at least 6 to 8 shots that were blocked before they ever got to the goaltender. The defensemen aren't afraid to lay out for it. You can see them turn around. I want to say that Shane Bull caught either a stick or a puck to the mouth midway through the second period, right in front of you.
That was right in front of me. That was a stick that came right up right there.
Yeah,
and he was just like, and unfortunately, again,
he stood there for a second. He was stunned. Have you ever been hit in the mouth or the nose with anything hard? Like, your eyes go stars, and you're trying to figure out what the crap was that. And,
and again, it's like I was talking about earlier. It's all about the angles. It's one of those where it should have been a high sticking call, and fortunately Shane was okay and was able to play on. But unfortunate angles, and you don't see it. You can only see so much when you're actually standing on the other side of somebody getting hit in the face.
Yeah, it's and that's the thing. It's like, so okay, so take consideration the other night, just before the end of the second period, we had what appeared to be a goal. Mm-hmm. Right? We had appeared to be a goal. They said no goal. And then they didn't replay it. They didn't look at it. They just said
no. It did get reviewed.
Now, that was Friday night. I'm talking about Saturday night. We were up 2-0. I want to say I was like, at the end of the first period is when it happened. And I was like, man, will they go and review that and give us the goal before we come out in the second period? Because we were all upstairs going, what? We looked at the replay about 10 times. I'm like, that's a freaking goal. And, we didn't get it. We got one like that on Friday night where I'm telling you this much, it would have been a goal. I mean, it was like, and there was a lot of those on Friday night. We hit the post a couple of times and it went straight down and then trickled off to the side. And I'm like, what happened? And it's like the Friday night loss was nothing, but it wasn't anything to do with effort. It's just that's the way the puck bounces, as they would say.
Comedy of errors, exactly.
It was just that's the way it went. But looking at the road game this week, I'm really excited to see how the guys are going to play. I'm excited to for Saturday night for us to all watch it together as Ice Flyers friends and family and fans together. It'd be cool to fellowship with everybody and chop it up, cut it up, and watch this. But I really think that while it like I said earlier, it may look like it's a huge advantage for our team, and it could be tough, but I think our team has made it through their lull, right? I feel like they hit a lull when they came back from the long week. But I think they're finally starting to get back to where they were before we had that long break. And, I think they're going to settle in for the second half. I mean, if you just extrapolate what they've done through the first half of the season, I mean, we're going to be in the top half of the league, if not at the top of the league when the playoffs roll around. And, it's going to be fun. I looked it up. I'm like, okay, there's 10 teams in the league. How many go to the play? 8 of the 10 teams go playoffs. So, an 8-team playoff, and you're going to get, this could be a team you play in the playoffs. You get the top
Very
8
much so.
right now. Matter of fact, 3 and 6 would match up. This is the team. If the playoffs started today, this is the team we'd be playing. So, how they play this weekend and it gives us an opportunity to break down how they can play against them, what they do, and that'll be fun to do next week. We'll talk about a little bit on Saturday night, but from my vantage point, I just think that the Ice Flyers are in a good position right now. We're getting into a part of our schedule where we're not playing Huntsville every week,
right?
Yep. But we will meet Peoria in the near future. But right now, we have an opportunity over the next, I want to say 6 to 8 games, where we have an opportunity to play some teams that aren't exactly at the top of the league and aren't really playing great hockey for us to stack those points that we always talk about, so that at the end of the season rolls around, we can be like, okay, here we are. At this point, we're at the top of the league, second. Look, I'll settle anything in the top 2, top 3. I'm good. Like, is there a trophy for the team with the most points? Is there? Because I know in the NHL it's called the President's Cup, which we call the whole thing here. But the President's Cup in the NHL is the team who has the most points at the end of the season.
So you have your regular season champion. We actually have a banner. I think it's from the 15-16 season, where we were the regular season champions and then went on to win the SPHL President's Cup. But at the end of the day, you want to have your best positioning, but it doesn't matter until you get to the final game of the playoffs,
right?
And hopefully you're hoisting up that President's Cup over your head.
That would be cool. It's my first year working with the Flyers. Go ahead and win the championship and stuff. And I'm like, call it a day. No, just kidding. I'll be back. I hope anyway, But I think it's going to be. I honestly think it's going to be a good time for the Ice Flyers to start making hay while they can right here. Because if you look back at the schedule for Peoria, they kind of had that schedule over the last 9-0-1 days where they played the teams at the bottom of the league and were more dominant because they had the better team. Now we clearly have the better team over anybody in the top and pretty much everybody below us. We have the better team, and we've proved it on the ice, most of them.
That's one of the things that's completely crazy about this is we only play Peoria a total of 3 times this season, and all 3 of them are in one single weekend up in Peoria, Illinois.
Well, that stinks. Like, we're done with the Roanoke. We're done with Roanoke. That was our last game with Roanoke, and we split that season. It split the series with them, 2-2. And so it's like, I actually was asking myself the other day, how many more times do we have to freaking play Huntsville, dude? Like, are we done with that, or we got 11 more games with those guys?
Yeah, so we got, let me see. I just pulled up the schedule right here. So we got Quad City coming up.
Right.
And then we play, I think that's Huntsville at home. No, not Huntsville, Macon.
Macon.
And then, let me see.
Macon Mayhem.
Then we go up to Knoxville at the end of the month. Then Fayetteville comes here. The Marksmen come here at the end of the month. Then we get into February.
Fayetteville has made so many trades this season. I mean, that's where we got Mike Moran from. But if you look around Huntsville, Peoria, they've all made trades to get the players from Fayetteville. And I'm like, these are all really good players. Like, did Fayetteville just like, it'd be a cool idea. Let's just trade off the best players on our teams and see what happens.
And if you think about it as well, Mike Moran was part of that trade with Sam Dabrowski and Wiesner, so it'll be our first time to see them in a different jersey from an Ice Flyers jersey, when we play them later on in the month.
It's cool. So when I started doing this, and I started going around like, okay, so I need to get all the logos from all the teams and get the high res versions and stuff. And I started looking at the Ice Flyers have a really, I don't know if y'all know this, but we have literally the best logo in all the SPHL. Yeah, the other ones seem like, the Huntsville's new one is really cool too.
It's
really
Huntsville's
good.
I've always liked Knoxville's as well. Knoxville's got a pretty cool.
Ice Bears looks really cool. But I'm like, a lot of these, as a graphic designer, I can tell you, like, you could literally go into a little thing that literally all it does is make these logos, right?
Yeah.
You just pick the colors, the logo, what it's for, or the mascot, the sport, and then the name of the team, and it generates these. And these are exactly what they're generated from. Like, I'm still trying to figure out how Fox works out for Fayetteville, Arkansas. I'm just,
It just does, man.
Could have been the Hogs. I think they missed an opportunity, since the Razorbacks are in Arkansas and Fayetteville is literally where the University of Arkansas is, and they're the
is Fayetteville's. Aren't they in Fayetteville, North Carolina?
Oh, North Carolina. So now Now it's really like Fayetteville.
Like, wait a minute.
Well, I mean, being from Texas, Fayetteville, Arkansas is just a hop, skip, and a jump from where I grew up. So, it's a lot of hop, skipping, and jumping, but it's about 5 hours. But when you're in Texas, you're like 5 hours is nothing. It's absolute nothing.
Right.
People was like, man, you can go down to this, but it's going to take you about 4 hours to get there. I'm like, okay, I'll be there by like 11 a.m. What's the problem? Like when we leave to go back to Texas from here, it's a 5 a.m. We're there by 4 p.m. in Texas. So thankfully, we're still in the same time zone. We used to go to Red River, New Mexico from Dallas. Same exact time to drive from Dallas to Red River, New Mexico. But Red River, New Mexico is you go back in time. So like you're a time traveler. You go back into mountain time. And then you go from, like we were talking about, where my house is 12 feet above sea level. That's my house. When we go to Red River, New Mexico, it's 10,350 feet above sea level.
Little bit of a climb.
A little bit. And the highest point there, I think, is just over 11,000. We've been there too. So it's always fun to go there in July because, it's like 1,000 degrees outside and the humidity is a bazillion. And you go up there and like there's 0% humidity and the high is 73. It's freaking awesome. You wake up in the morning, it's like 47, 48 degrees. And
nice.
There's no air conditioning at all. You just open the windows and let it blow. But but man, look, I could talk vacation spots all day too. I never really go on vacations a lot until probably the last 10 years, because number one, I just didn't ever have the money because that's what happens. Like I hear all these 20 somethings that are like, I'm so broke, I'm never gonna be able to do this or that. Guess what? You're no different from any other 20-year-old that's ever lived in life. Ever in the history of ever. Like it's just part of being in your 20s. That's where you make your hay. That's where you grow as a person, as a professional, and really start to understand what life is about and how to navigate the real world. That's not where you go, hey, I'm going to make $150,000 this year and be rich and live in the uptown and all this other stuff. It's not your 20s. It's not your 20s. It's good. It's a nice thought. It's good goals to have in your 20s, but more often than not, you're going to struggle. You're going to scrape by and you're going to start to figure out how the real world works and how money works and taxes and all the other stuff that goes along with that. And then eventually in your 30s, probably mid to late 30s, you'll start to freaking move on and start doing stuff.
Just ride with it.
And then, you could be like me. I rode with it. I rode with it for a long time. I was raising kids and living my dreams. I was chasing my dreams as a musician and doing all this other stuff. And, sometimes you just gotta jump. Everybody was made with a purpose. Everybody has a purpose in life. And for you to find it, the only way you're going to find it is to jump and wait for your parachute to open.
Yeah.
So, but, we talked enough about that. We talked a lot about hockey. Once again, this Saturday night.
Hopefully it opens correctly.
Look, Moose is, look, there he is again. Your camera keeps bouncing, so it's like you're talking, but there's no Moose on the screen, which is hilarious. But we appreciate. I just want to seriously. It actually just dawned on me over the last week or so when people stop you in public and go, "Hey man, when's the next podcast coming?" It's really cool. So we appreciate everybody who watches, listens, shares each and every week. I'm looking so much forward to this week's live, and not even just for hockey, just to say thank you and we appreciate you guys in a live setting, not just responding to comments or seeing you in public. It's gonna be fun.
Most definitely. Boys on the road this weekend up to Quad City. Then we are back in the Hangar, 16th, 17th, and 18th. Always a fun time to hang out. So get your tickets now, iceflyers.com, and of course the Pensacola Bay Center box office.
And once again, like I said, thanks for engaging with us. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, so that what's coming up next. And for Big Moose, I'm Will Riggs. This has been the Flight Deck, and until next time, we wish you fair winds and following seas. Flight Deck out.